then around the end of 2019, his economic policies started to take hold. And things got real shaky real quick. You remember the whole trade war thing? The bond curve inverting, all that stuff. And people blame that on COVID. The thing is, COVID started in December of 2019, the very end of 2019. And realistically, there weren't economic impacts right away. But we don't even have to have that argument, because the video you're about to watch, that's from September of 2019. 3 months, whole quarter before. It's not a rosy economic picture by any means. It wasn't going well. Gold and silver were up, copper was down. It was full of indications that we were headed into, well, recession. And it didn't get better. And then COVID hit. And then the economy really went down. And it provided him the perfect cover. He could blame his economic issues on the public health issue. But the economic issues started in September, not December. Take a look.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Beau again. So today we're going to talk about recession indicators again and leave you with a ray of sunshine there at the end. So I'm not an economist. I really only looked at a few indicators for me. That's my personal thing, one of which is the bond curve, which has inverted. That is a sign of an upcoming recession. The other ones I got from my grandma. Now, she was not an economist either, but she's also never wrong with this. If gold and silver go up and copper goes down, you're heading into hard economic times. That has happened now. So, and the reason for that is gold and silver are a way to take your money and put it into something tangible that is safe. Like kind of taking your money out of the financial game for a little bit and putting it into something that's going to hold value. Copper is an industrial metal. It's used in a lot of new construction. So if you see the price falling, that means demand is falling, which means there's less construction. Okay, so all that's happened. So when that happened, I went and started talking to people and looking at the indicators that they use, and then got online and looked at what the actual economists are saying. It's pretty much all bad. Just go ahead and spoiler alert. Okay, so the University of Michigan does a survey of consumers. This is that consumer confidence you hear people talk about and nobody knows what it means. They basically ask people, how do you feel it's going? The numbers dropped like a rock. Now, I know somebody out there that is in favor of the trade wars is going to say, but the Bureau of Economic Analysis says otherwise. And Trump said that consumer confidence is fine. Yeah, their numbers are from July. They're using old data. Michigan's numbers are from August. Okay, the GDP, which is the total value of finished goods and services produced in the U.S., right? That is at a 2% growth for the second quarter of 2019. It was at 3% during the first quarter. So it's slowing down. We see that. Manufacturing growth is at the lowest levels in 10 years. That's a really good indication. Freight shipments have dropped like a rock. The people in that industry are predicting a negative GDP, as in the economy is actually shrinking, by the end of the year. Private domestic investments have fallen by 5%. That's from a real economist. I really don't actually know how significant that is, but it seemed significant at the time when I was looking at it. The other one is that the S&P 500, which is a index. It's They take the 500 largest companies, they weight them by capitalization and a whole bunch of other stuff, and they use that to project how the stock market is doing. Now, they put out estimates of earnings growth, so how much more money they're going to make, and they revise these estimates constantly, and they are dropping. Every time they revise them, the numbers are going down, and that is also a very, very good indication that we are headed into a recession. So, we're on our way there. What does that mean for us, for normal people? You know, when you hear most of this, this is measuring the sense of the economy by how well the rich are doing. What does it mean for normal folk? Normally, wages don't get cut, but layoffs occur. At the same time, there are some benefits to those that are on the lower end of the socioeconomic ladder. The first is that toys get cheaper. And by toys, I don't mean toys for children. I mean, you know your neighbor that bought 2 jet skis and took them out 3 times in the last 5 years? Probably going to sell them really cheap. So if you have some money put away, stuff like that, you'll be able to get deals on. The other thing is that if you've been planning on bootstrapping and starting your own company, now may not be the brightest time to start it, but it may be the best time to start getting the equipment. I know a guy that during the Great Recession of 2008, people thought he lost his mind because he went out and bought 2 work trucks. He had been squirreling away money for years to start his own landscaping company. Every time one went out of business, well, he would show up and buy their weed whackers and lawnmowers or whatever really cheaply because he knew they were well maintained, he knew they were industrial grade, and basically he got his company started with less investment than he had planned. So you do have that opportunity. If you have planned, this may be the time to get in the game, so to speak, to get in the financial game. The other thing is getting a home. Now, I'm not talking about a dream home. I'm not talking about the home in the good neighborhood that is completely remodeled and everything. I'm not talking about that one. That one's not going to drop, more than likely. But the less than perfect home, the home that needs to be updated because it has cabinets from the 70s, those, they're going to go down in value, which means you may be able to get your starter home, your first home purchase. You may be able to get that done during the recession. So leaving on a happy note in some ways, in other ways you do have to understand that somebody's losing out on those deals. But this is all over this trade war. And the trade war is based on the idea that we can't have a trade deficit. Most economists will tell you a trade deficit is not necessarily a bad thing. The other thing that they keep harping about is that China's economy will eventually be bigger than ours. They have 4 times the population. I may not be an economist, but I would imagine that on a long enough timeline, that's a certainty. It's one of those things where if we continue fighting something that is probably inevitable, we may end up hurting ourselves. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.